Hello, everybody. Rod Baker, God and Rod. And I think this is part 4 of our Breaking Soul Ties series. And I was going to wait and do this in the morning, but I was led to do it this evening. I was in the middle of I was in the middle of practicing the cello. And I was led to go ahead and do this. So we'll put Miracle here. Miracle's her name. We'll put Miracle to the side. You know, I had planned on early on in my life being a bullfighter. Oh, not one of those Spanish sissies. No, some people call them rodeo clowns. But fortunately for me, my best friend at the time, who was a bull rider, he ended up hurting himself all the time, and he had to quit riding bulls. So there was no need for me to be a bullfighter, be a rodeo clown. Anyhow, I'd like to talk about the breaking of soul ties this evening, and I reckon the thing we're going to talk about right now is how ungodly soul ties. And for most of you, I've talked about this book several times. It's called Breaking Soul Ties: Freedom from the Root of Toxic Relationships. It's Doctors Dennis and Jennifer Clark is who wrote this book. It's a heck of a book. I've read it a couple of times, and it's been extremely helpful to me. So this part of it is called How Ungodly Soul Ties Form, and it lists a lot of the different ungodly soul ties, toxic soul ties. You know, if you got a problem with talking about God, you know, let's move through that. Let's move past that. Okay, let's just, you know what? Let's address it. Let's address it. You got a problem talking about God, then use universe. Okay? And if you don't think that there's laws of the universe, if you don't think that there is an intelligence, a higher power, if you don't think that there's something greater than yourself, then I think you ought to try jumping off a building and see if gravity is in effect. Okay? That's my opinion. See if gravity's in effect. See if you bounce. Anyhow, let's get serious here. I've kind of had one of those days where I find myself laughing quite a bit today. So, you know, if it offends you, then I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry at all. I've enjoyed my entire day. If this offends you, then you're toxic. You probably need to watch this more than anybody else. All right, so this part is about ungodly soul ties. How ungodly soul ties form. One of the first ones is by association, okay? By associating with others that cling on to you or are part of your life. You know, we find this in families a lot, matter of fact. You know, we associate with our families, and then we find ourselves being, you know, in that environment of toxicity. I know people, mostly women, that they trauma bond. They are bound by trauma because of the toxic relationship that they had with their family. There was trauma all the time, drama all the time. There was always something. And these women have become used to that way of life, of that trauma and drama being around all the time. And I used to try to save them all the time. You know, that was my forte, is to go in and save them. But my S has been removed. So I'm not saving them anymore. Other than, you know, trying to tell the truth about it due to my experience, strength, and hope. My experience is that, hey man, I've been there. My strength is, hey man, I made it out alive. And my hope is that you change, or that you at least recognize the thing inside of you and ask God to change it for you. That's my hope. My experience, strength, hope. All right, so association. We take on the characteristics of those with whom we choose to associate. Did you hear choose in there? I heard choose. That means you've got a choice. And you know what choice always brings, right? Consequences. Choice and consequences easily go together. All right, so let's move along. We take on the characteristics of those with whom we choose to associate through the soul ties that form. If we spend time with angry, complaining people, we tend to mirror their behavior. If we hang around those engaging in sinful behavior, we become partakers of their sins. Sound familiar? Sound familiar? That we seem to hang around with those that are like us, or drawn to those that are like us. And what's amazing is what I've found is a lot of the relationships that I've had where I have gone in to try to save them from, their travesties, their difficulties, their hardships, is they end up running all the way back to them. You know, one night I came out of a bar. I came out of a bar in Oklahoma City. And it's down by a hotel. And as soon as I walked out, there was this old boy that had this girl by a car, and she was pregnant. And he slapped the crap out of her, man. I was probably 50 feet away. And he slapped the crap out of her, man. And of course, you know, I'm 20-something years old. I go running over there as fast as I can, and I start whooping on this old boy. Next thing I know, she's whooping on me. I took my belt off, started whooping on them both. But she was whooping on me. The audacity. Here I come to, save the situation. Superhero that I was. And next thing I know, I'm getting whooped by the victim. I beat the crap out of him, though. I did. But they both left together. He ran off, and then she drove off and went and picked him up on the other side of the hotel. Anyhow, that's what I mean by association. You become so accustomed to that way of life that anything different from that, anything that is peaceful, secure, it's too strange. Amen? All right, so that's association. Another way, harboring toxic emotions. Harboring. Toxic emotions that linger are products of unforgiveness. We form bonds with those we hate. You know what? I'm going to read that again. We form bonds with those we hate. We form bonds with those we hate. I see that. All right. Our wounds and anger form ungodly soul ties that keep us in bondage until we forgive. When we forgive, pardon me, when we forgive from the heart, we experience a supernatural transaction that sets us free and replaces negative emotions with the peace of God. I'll buy that. I'll buy that. And the funny thing about it is, you know, Lord knows I've had my heart broke, kicked, stabbed, torn to pieces, stomped on, you know, kicked some more, broke some more, you know. I mean, I got a tough old heart. And I quit trying to forgive people. The thing I started thinking about was, you know, there is balance in the universe. There is balance. And God gives justice. Okay? I don't seek justice anymore. I used to, but I also always sought a reckoning. But the truth about it is that I don't seek justice. I don't. I let God handle that. The thing I've come to find is when I start thinking about what was done to me, I give consideration to what that justice may look like, what that balancing may look like, what that reckoning may look like, because it's God doing it, not me. And God don't forget an address. You know, I've heard people say karma doesn't forget an address. And karma waits until that right time. God waits until that exact right time when it seems to extract the most amount of problems for them. I can't help but smile. I just can't. But anyway, so I don't forgive. I don't work on forgiveness. What I look at is what the possibilities could be in that God vengeance, in that karma vengeance, in that karmic cycle taking place. There's a season for everything. If you don't think so, go out and look at the cornfields, look at the wheat fields. There's a season for everything. Okay? And it's not just spring, summer, fall, and winter. Those aren't just the only seasons. Monthly, there's a season. Some people say there's a season with a new moon. Some people believe in that, and I'm not arguing with them. I'm just saying. I think the almanac even talks about, you know, with the new moon comes a change season. So anyhow, I don't think about that forgiveness. But as we can see, hate is a soul tie. Amen. Here we go. Here's a good one that not very many people are comfortable about talking about. Sexual sin. Sexual sin. Let's take a look at this one. Seducing spirits. Seducing spirits. I've met quite a few of those. Are always involved when sexual sin is committed. That is why we are warned to flee sexual immorality. You have heard that it was said, you shall not commit adultery. But I say to you that everyone who is so much looks at a woman with evil desires for her has already committed adultery with her in his heart. Now, that's in Matthew in the Bible, but let's talk about what adultery is. If you have a covenant with someone, if you have a commitment with someone, okay, if you're in a sexual relationship, an intimate relationship, let's call it an intimate relationship, okay, and you step outside of that relationship to have an intimate relationship with another, it's adultery. Now, I don't mean to run around here bursting your bubble, but truth is truth, okay? You can try to sidestep it all you want. You can try to, make excuses. All right? Now, especially if somebody's already married. If you're a single person and you find yourself in an intimate relationship with somebody married, that's adultery. And if you don't think that there's some kind of judgment on you for that, think about a court case that's a judgment against you, right? A judgment against somebody brings a judgment against you. Somebody says, you know what? You didn't do the right thing in this situation, and I'm going to take you to court, and I'm going to file a judgment against you. Guess what? You're going to pay. You're going to pay. And the worst part about you having to pay that is anybody else that you've involved in that, that's like them being called into court to be a part of that judgment. See, you've not only put yourself in and jeopardized yourself in that, but you've drug another in. You've caused another to commit an act of injustice. Injustice. Do you not think that you will not be judged? Do you not think that you will not reap what you've sown? You live by the sword, you will die by the sword. And it'll happen. It'll happen. It's just a matter of time. And time's fluid. Usually it happens at you at the most inopportune time, doesn't it? Yeah. That's when it happens, the most inopportune time. That's usually when karma takes effect. It's usually when God, well, I don't want to speak for God, but I'll speak about him. What I've come to find is justice is served very, very cold. And it hurts. It's painful. It is. Anyhow, that's all we're going to do this evening. I'm going to get back to practicing the cello. May the love of God find you someday, if it hadn't already. May the love of the Creator, may you not walk in darkness any longer. May you find the light and walk in it from this day forward. In the name of Yeshua, amen. Till next time.